Hey everybody, and welcome to another Mumkey and Eggy podcast you've been waiting for, and we've only been doing Izakinos lately. Well, guess what? Somebody put their money where their mouth is, and we got an old school Mumkey and Eggy podcast. Folks, we have two different things that have been going on lately. We do these $100 couch videos where people pay us that much money to review whatever they want. And then also we've been doing over on the Mumkey D. Jones YouTube channel these weekly volume reviews of One Piece. And we just finished Skypiea, so we're over 30 volumes in. And what we're doing right here today, right now, is kind of a combination of the two. Somebody offered, hey, $100 couch video, how about you review this 70 chapter manga? And I said, how about this? How about we do volume 1 in the style of the One Piece Virgin podcast? He said, that's a great idea. I'm glad he's on board, because sitting on the couch talking about 60 chapters might be hard, but we're very skilled at talking about one volume on a podcast, Eggy.
That's right. Definitely something that suits our track record with the mangas. And this manga, this is definitely something that suits my track record, I think, as what I would enjoy reading or watching for many years of my life. One Piece over there, it's been kind of a new experience to me, but being a fat, hideous, sexless loser, you know what, some would say, that is something that's much more relatable. And so I was very pleased today. Yes, we have a manga which Shinohoro Kimi no Shoujo ga Hoshii, translated into English, I would die for your first time.
And there is some controversy here. We were talking about this before the show. I took this title into Google Translate. And the Google Translate title was, I want a virgin with a yoke so badly. So whatever new title they gave it, I would die for your virginity, whatever Eggy said, that's them trying to, I guess, westernize a much more intriguing title. Because I've got to know what this virginal yoke may be. And is that why he chose for us to review this? Because we have King Virgin and King Yoke over here. Like, not that you're both. I'm one and you're the other. Who could say who is who? I don't know.
Well, to tie in a little bit of the One Piece channel, Eggy V Rodriguez, the V stands for Virgin.
That's
I'm
right.
saying, that was what it was 32 weeks ago, and all of a sudden we got something new on our palette here. And to be fair, this gentleman, the absolutely unquestioned protagonist of this material, definitely a hero we can all rally behind. He's actually not a virgin, but he used to be. He was for a little bit longer than some, perhaps.
Yeah, this manga, and I don't know if we will probably go through this chronologically as we do with One Piece, but just to open up the door for everybody who has no idea what we're about to talk about, this manga hyper focuses on some of the darkest, most depraved, jealous thoughts that men get, and it takes it to the most extreme level possible. And it was actually quite uncomfortable getting into the mind of this character, like genuinely, like I don't want this kind of thought even entertaining space in my brain. It's horrendous and disgusting to me, and I'm glad that I've perhaps grown past whatever this man is going through, because it was just completely disgusting. But the idea of he was a virgin until age 30. He gets married to like a super attractive woman his same age who he meets at work. And despite this, he's not happy. He feels cucked and threatened and jealous by the fact that she had sex with other guys before they met. The concept of being jealous of your woman's like body count and feeling threatened by it is, in my mind, so juvenile, so Andrew Tate sort of like mental retardation kind of shit, that for this to be the whole premise of this manga, I thought I was in for a rough ride. He does progress and evolve as a character even in this 9 chapters here, so I'm glad that the author himself recognizes the poison pill of this philosophy. But Eggy, I've done a lot of talking. What do you think? Am I out of my mind here?
Well, Obviously, every single panel, every single chapter, I immediately stood up and started applauding. I said, listen, this guy took the red pill. He knows what time it is. You know what? Listen, just because you're a fat, balding man in your 30s doesn't mean you can't repeatedly die under supernatural circumstances to try to change the entire world to fit your exact needs for like multiple decades. But in all seriousness, though, it is... it's humorous, but it's also it's introspective. I guess probably if I was gonna say what is the most uncomfortable part of this volume for me was that if I was going back and being in, I think junior high is where he like ends up kind of getting a chance to redo his life. I mean, he's still got the mind of a 30-year-old man or 31-year-old man, and going back to like orchestrate social activities between like 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds or however.
So here's the thing: he dies in a freak accident by getting hit by a subway, and then he discovers, when I die, it actually sends my consciousness back in time to when I was 15, and it sends him specifically to when he first interacted with his wife. He just did not know it at the time. So. This seems like eternal hell. Like, this is sort of a Groundhog Day sort of situation where I don't think we as the reader are supposed to evaluate why is this happening. It's just like the story needs this to happen for it to exist. Like, time is repeating every day for Bill Murray. We're never going to explain why in the movie. It's just it needs to happen. That's what this is. Are we going to find out that there's some crazy god out there fucking with this guy to teach him a lesson? Probably not. That's my prediction. I think it's just a function of the storytelling. But my question is this man immortal now? Because he dies probably 8 times in this volume, and every time he dies, it sends him either to the future or into the past. So how is he ever supposed to die, Eggy? Does he need to resolve something in his soul like Bill Murray to make this curse end? And in which case, will he know it's over, or is he going to commit suicide to time travel and then just be dead?
Well, I mean, I guess I have to go based on the title of the series. Is he going to just repeatedly die until he can finally have his true virgin waifu? Because, I mean, obviously, as you were saying, the character development we see here, he through these series of reincarnations or whatever you want to say that he keeps going through, or it's because sometimes he's dying and he's coming to his younger self, sometimes he's dying and he's an adult in a different future, like just something that went a different way. But we find, for instance, I think it's like the 3rd time that he goes through this, he is back into his adult form. And everything's all cool, but he's with a different woman. And as we see throughout the development of this volume, maybe something that a woman that he might have been more compatible with to begin with, but due to the fact that this woman that he finds himself with in this alternate future is not his wife as we know from the beginning of the first chapter, first volume and everything, he then throws himself off of a balcony to his death just because he only wants to be with that one particular woman. So even I could see, I don't know, maybe it gets to be a little bit, I don't know if it's just going to be so muted, so to speak, that he's just going to be like repeatedly like hitting a wall over and over again just to get his perfect virgin waifu. I think maybe it might be something a little more like what this first volume explores, where he's finding a compatibility with somebody else, and maybe that's what's going to be his beautiful future, is not what he envisions, but something else. But I definitely think it's something sort of a wandering soul kind of idea, like his peace, his wholeness is not coming together. So like due to his tortured soul, he definitely needs to resolve some of these issues, and probably not exactly the way he's been going about it, since his resolutions just cause more issues.
He's definitely a complete sicko, and to continue a thought you brought up earlier, he is a 30-year-old man's brain inside the body of a 15-year-old, and it's becoming clear, he says it many times, he might be more attracted to the 15-year-old version of his wife than the adult version. And then when he's trying to flirt with her, he's trying to think of things that she would find interesting, and he can't think of any. He literally knows none of his wife's hobbies or interests. the only thing he ever thinks about is the other dudes that she fucked. He does not love his wife. And why does she love him? She's a beautiful, like, painted to be, or drawn to be as skinny and beautiful and big titties or whatever is possible with this. They go out of their way to illustrate this man. He's hideous. This man is a fat freak. Like, Eggy would have to gain 100 pounds to play him in the live action. This dude's a freak. Why is she even with him in the first place when he doesn't respect or value her even as a human? He knows nothing about her and he just wants to fuck her as a 15-year-old. And his whole goal is, I'm going to, as a 15-year-old, I'm going to become the man that she has a crush on so that she gives me her virginity and I don't need to be jealous of the other men because it's me. This dude's he's a freak. He's a no good freak. I'm glad he keeps getting killed. I hope he feels the pain.
Yeah, once again, I think that probably somebody who, I think you can certainly look at this material and say from the beginning that perhaps this man does not have any, like, real reason why he should have, like, an eventual redemption. Like, and maybe he's just a bad person, but, throughout, these sorts of things where he's trying to put the moves on his teenage wife in the future, her teenage version, not knowing anything, you would like to think, okay, this is how, through this very rough series of events, he's gonna, like, understand her personality, her hobbies and these traits. Like, this is how he's gonna find out about it. But yeah, it certainly is not a good look to start off with that. That's but also at the same time, I guess, there's inspiration to be taken from this, that just because you're a hideous, obese 30-something-year-old man, that beautiful women can't just appear out of thin air, so that there was a inspirational quality to that. But
yeah, he has many futures where he ends up with a beautiful young, or not young, they're all the same age, but beautiful, sexy wife who looks certainly 20 years younger than him. So, like, what quality about him is making these women interested? I think, like, at work, he somehow gathered the courage to ask his wife Mika out on a date in front of everybody, and that's what sort of got her interested in him. Like, oh, he seems like a genuine guy. He's not just gonna do random shit to impress me. Like, he's so... But is that all it takes? You could be fat and freakish and you want to fuck a 15-year-old version of your wife and you don't know her interests? It's good enough if you're just a genuine guy? Genuinely what? Genuinely dog shit?
Listen, he just be himself. They keep telling you to do it. Just be yourself.
But himself is just an insecure man who's jealous of 15-year-olds.
Yes. I want to say this, though, because I think that maybe further in this material, not what we read, but if I was to say, like, a prediction, like in the One Piece podcast, I give predictions sometimes. And then also maybe just basing this off of, like, the final future that is sort of portrayed here, or maybe it's the second to final in this first volume, where his wife is so, like, unsatisfied. Like, she kind of ended up in this relationship through the means that he concocted throughout his, like, manipulation of events. She's so, like, just hates how this ended up, and she's, like, cutting herself, and then, like, then she ends up stabbing him.
Well, no, he slips on a wine bottle and falls into the knife. I think that was on him.
Right.
They needed another reason for him to die. They're always coming up with crazy ones. But yeah, he has a future where she, like, received a Polaroid of him sleeping with another woman with a mole on her face. And we get, like, this reveal, oh yeah, we went to high school with her, but he has no memory of this because he just transferred in his most recent reincarnation. So that's sort of the mystery leading into Volume 2 at the end here, is who is this mystery mole woman? And is there any way Toru, is that his name? Toru? Is there any way he would actually cheat on his dream Mika waifu with this moley woman? I can't wait to get $100 to find out next month, Eggy.
Well, I just kind of said, kind of to frame it in the way that it was in my mind. So, maybe the reason why he could have been selected by either Mika or her friend, who's, like, the other woman that kind of gets covered as a possible future wife in this first volume. Maybe it is the fact that he is inexperienced. We don't see anything that would say that he's open to manipulation from these women, with him being just kind of a sitting duck and a vulnerable guy that hasn't had any relationship experience. But it is, something possibly where even if there's not an objectively apparent manipulation going on, maybe they just like the idea of, okay, these other guys, they know the game, they're hip to, fooling around, but this guy, he's just, I really got him by, no pun intended, but pretty much inferred that by the balls, they kind of got control over him, and he's got that salaryman life where he's just really focused on work. But all the while, the sicko energy does permeate from this man. So is it a worthwhile trade to have really a domesticated man if he's still kind of bubbling under the surface with this, kind of I mean, he's not acting on anything, he's just returning to his own 15-year-old self with a 30-year-old man's mind and then doing things, but
he keeps saying over and over again, I need to become a better man, I need to be the man that she would naturally have a crush on. So you have to imagine his arc over these next, 7 or 8 volumes to the end, because it's not that long of a story, will be, it has to end with both of them together in a relationship and they're both secure and happy with it. So I think that journey might take another 6 volumes to genuinely be better. And hopefully he gets more attracted to his adult wife than his child wife. I mean, that'd be a good arc to hope for.
Yeah, and I would also like to say, maybe one of the parts that transpires in this volume, in order for him to kind of try and get events in line, he wants to transfer to a different school that she goes to, and he's able to get an in with the the track team, I believe?
Tennis.
Tennis, yeah. I knew it was sports of some kind. It has been a couple of days. So maybe this sort of thing too. Once again, looking at it from a critical perspective, you might say to yourself, why did this man, reach 30 years old being a balding, obese, mentally ill man who never developed any hobbies or interests in the first 30 years? But maybe some of this exposure to these sorts of things, that he didn't have the confidence or the ability to involve himself in the first go around. Maybe he's getting some of this exposure therapy to these social groups, some more confidence building exercises. Maybe as he goes forward here, he's going to be able to just naturally go through some chastening events that are going to take away some of his insecurities and make him a better man when it's all said and done.
And I think the opening 3 chapters might have had a mini character arc that might be a microcosm of what to expect from him in the grand scheme of the story. So when he first goes back in time, it turns out that his middle school bully is on a date with his future wife, Mika. And the dude's he's flashing his tongue through his pussy fingers, as we all do, to let Toru know, hey, I'm going to go fuck this bitch. And through a series of events, he's changing history now. He doesn't want his wife to lose her virginity to this man, so he interferes. She stays behind and comforts him. So, okay, he changed history. She's a good person. She doesn't want to fuck this creepy freak dude. But then, that night, he's walking home, or I don't know where he's going. If he's 15, I guess to his parents' house. And the bully is there, and the bully kills him. He kicks him down the stairs and kills him, sending him into an alternate future. When he dies in that future, he goes back to the moment before he died that sent him in the future. That's how they do it. So now he's back confronting this bully. And he learned in that new future that after the bully killed him, the bully raped his wife in a bathroom. And we later see an illustration of it. So this dude is literally killed him and raped his teenage wife. What is Toru gonna do, or Toru? His character arc? He gives the man empathy. The dude tries to kill him again. Toru dodges it. The bully's about to die himself, and Toru catches him and helps him and just says, hey, don't go raping tonight. You better go straight home. Now, personally, is that the arc I want to see? Is this what being a better man is letting your murderer / wife's rapist go free? I think he'd be a better man if he did let him fall and die. Personally, Eggy, is this what we are to expect?
But as we're just saying here, he's in a child or in a teenage body with an adult mind, like contemplating how he's gonna perfectly steer his wife throughout the next 15 years, so that she doesn't have sex until he can have sex with her. So I think maybe really that's an overarching thing here, that there's a lot of pros and cons to everybody, that nobody's really a perfect person, and maybe we all deserve to get a chance to work on our flaws.
Yeah,
and then speaking.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, and moving forward, after he learns that about the rape from in that alternate future, he gets married to who is essentially one of Mika's friends.
A Kehoe.
Yeah, and she is a Kehoe.
Yes. Yes, she is. And it explores a very real world thing, and I'm not going to say this one's misogynistic. I think this one is true. The idea of a girl, every girl probably has that friend who encourages her to be a little more slutty. Hey, don't get tied down with that guy. He's no good for you. You need a party, girl. Let's go to the club. That's what a Kehoe is to Mika. He realizes maybe a Kehoe or Mika wouldn't have had such a high body count by the age of 30 if not for this friend pushing her into the debaucherous lifestyle. So this is in some futures, a Kehoe is his wife, but in the past, she's now his greatest enemy who's trying to taint his woman.
Right. And I mean, listen, she's, all I'm saying, it's good. It's a good thing that our protagonist here, that he's really so locked in and loving his wife eventually that he wakes up and has, arguably more attractive wife in the future, and he still throws himself off a balcony because that's not how he wanted it. But yeah, he kind of gets sent on a mission with the tennis club president that he's trying to kind of get in the mix. He wants to be with the tennis club so he can kind of keep an eye on how everything's going there. And the tennis club president is interested in a Kehoe, and they had dated and broken up, and he wants Toru to basically do the
social lubricant for him. Go ask if she's single right now for me, because I'm too shy.
And so it's through this circumstance that he's able to kind of ingratiate himself with a Kehoe, and then when her and Mika are going to have a gathering later on with some unsavory men, that's where he kind of gets the idea that she is kind of pushing her in a direction that she probably wouldn't put herself into. Kind of just putting her around an unsafe, certainly unsafe for virginity.
Literal bully who murders people and rapes people. If a Kehoe's hooking her up with that kind of guy, maybe not a good friend. There's another life lesson learned here where Toru's talking to teenage Mika and finds out, when Mika has a crush on some guy, he doesn't know who yet, and she's too afraid to confess to this guy because she feels so inferior to him. And Toru's like, oh shit, she feels about that guy the way I feel about her right now. And I think it's supposed to be this enlightening moment of, girls are humans too, and they feel just as shy and inferior as we often do. But no, Toru, you feel that way for her, but she feels that way for somebody even higher. It's a hierarchy. If she felt that way about him, I would understand. But it's not reciprocal. It's climbing a ladder of inferiority and superiority. So I don't know if I would have taken the life lesson that he seemingly did.
Just to have him being such a unseasoned, such a novice in interpersonal communications, I guess. That might be something that he just was not capable of understanding previously. But yeah, you're absolutely right that whoever she has on this pedestal is the football quarterback, prom king, whatever, our American equivalent. I'm sure that, there's some great honor to bestow teenagers in Japan also, but yeah, probably like this real upper echelon guy, whereas we have Toru who's basically just getting ready to, actually communicate with girls for the first time on his like fourth reincarnation. So he's a little behind the curve there. But hey, you know what? Maybe just a few more dozen reincarnations, just really just etching away at it. I mean, you could even possibly say just that act in and of itself, that drive that he has to create this perfect future. Not every guy would be so inclined. Like I said, if I woke up the third time with a Kiho, like,
I'll try this
I don't
one.
know what's been happening, but maybe let me just try this one out for maybe a couple years, see how it is.
You don't want to live in the future where Mika has like a thigh full of scars that she's been cutting herself. Clearly, long before since the cheating Polaroid came in, like those are some old scars on her legs. So she's had some lifelong troubles. It's not just this. You don't want that version. You want her friend who's, she's kind of a slutty hoe. Why would she settle for Toru?
Maybe her ways of pushing Mika into these situations with all these unsafe men, maybe that was like sort of a deterrent for her. All these guys are freakish and they might be violent criminals and all this stuff. Like, but I think you might be Chad, so why don't you go talk? Oh, Taru's over there. Yeah, that's a safe bet. Let me just kind of. Akio, she kind of seems like a bit of a an alpha female. So once again, not that Mika has that energy in like the existing future, but she kind of does a little bit. In like,
I feel like adult Mika's. A normal adult Mika that we meet in chapter 1, I feel like, is such a one-dimensional, non-human being character that it's almost insulting. Like, he cannot last more than 1 minute during sex, and she's just like, no, I'm genuinely, sincerely fine with this. It's so, as long as you're happy. Like, she has nothing going for her at all. She only exists to say, I am in love with my fat, hideous husband, and I'm completely loyal to him, and I have no other personality trait. And his only personality trait is she fucked another guy before she met me. So, yeah, maybe it's better just to be with this friend. She has a little more of a personality as an adult than the Mika we meet.
I can't lie, like that was obviously adult versions only, but we get a lot of the personality of the development in the flashback years or in like the alternate like time skip backwards years.
It would seem that all those rides on the cock carousel took all of the personality out of Mika.
I mean, she still looks very good and everything like that. She hasn't done anything other than be attractive and have a lot of sex that I would say is a great. She doesn't have any like real skeletons in the closet that
I feel like if a woman is having sex with a freak who can't last more than a minute and like she's never getting any enjoyment at all, I don't know if I can respect her as a human for her to be okay with that. Like she should have some personal goals that aren't just pleasing my husband.
I mean, that is so true. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a true feminist today, folks. I'm just this guy Toru is such a freak. It makes me look feminist by comparison. So where should we go next with this, Eggy? I think we've covered most of the story. He does kind of learn a lesson. The tennis president wants him to be the social lubricant with a Kiho, but then Toru does not do it, and he says, hey, if you genuinely actually care about somebody, you wouldn't use a third party. You would just go talk to them and be upfront and say how you feel. And I think that is a good lesson. That's great. Yeah, it might not be so great for women when they're getting DMs of guys being very upfront saying, I'm in love with you, be with me. I guess they don't like that. If I got those messages, I might enjoy it. Who could say? I guess it's different for women. It's rough out there being so beloved and wanted. I don't understand it, but it's true. So is being upfront like Toru is saying here, is that right? Or is that going to scare women away and make them disgusted?
Well, Yeah, if you look like him, it is what it is, folks. I mean, hey, nothing's always fair. But what I will say, not to say that I am a Toru myself in all capacities, but as a man who was maybe a bit more shy and timid around women in my younger years, you get to realize, I guess, at this point in life, like when you're middle-aged or whatever, and not that I'm definitely a guy where in life I know you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I've done a lot of things just to try and see where that might go. And my life has had a lot of interesting things happen as a result of that. But when it comes to women, I mean, you do realize, I guess, when you're older that, like, you know what, you're just some teenagers, you're some kids, you're talking your talk with each other. Like, it basically doesn't really mean a whole lot of anything. Like, you could just kind of, shoot your shots, ask a girl out or whatever, maybe try some goofy stuff or maybe do some silly stuff or whatever, as long as it's non-criminal and non-destructive and everything like that when you're that age. And after a few years, I mean, basically, whether it's good or bad, it's not going to have a real significant impact on who you are as an adult as you grow older, so long as you continue to take those opportunities, those risks, those chances, and not let them make you afraid. Because if you do take a risk or a chance or something when you're that age, it turns out badly and then you become afraid, you don't get a chance to sort of move past that negative experience, and it might have so maybe that's something too with Toru. Maybe he was in that age range, that teenage age range, and he didn't ever have that successful relationship, so he never got that chance to kind of mellow out a little bit. He was so laser focused on his own shortcomings for so many years that even now when he's in an arguably much better position, it's still really holding him back because he never got the chance to kind of just let time get between him and that pain that he might have felt as being lesser than, if you kind of get what I'm getting at there.
I mean, just the fact that he's jealous of ghosts, like relationship ghosts of his wife's past. Like, he feels so insignificant about himself that he can't be happy that she is obsessed with him right now. Like, he's still thinking about comparing himself to men that are no longer in her life. So yeah, it's a dark mentality to be in, and I think putting yourself out there when you're young will help you avoid these pitfalls to be the 30-year-old man thinking about all the people who fucked his wife.
Yeah, I think if I had to say, the important thing, if you're ever like having that in your mind, the only reason why it's going to be important is because, if you have a girl who's really just tearing through a bunch of guys, it's going to be like, what is her malfunction, or what's the volatile factor here that would then cause your relationship to end up in a negative way. Like, if you're 30 years old and a woman's even had like 3, long-term relationships that were like 3 or 4 years each or whatever, that's not going to necessarily have a bearing on how your relationship with her is going to be impacted versus, if she's out clubbing and all this different stuff she's engaging in, like self-destructive behaviors. That's what you want to be more cautious of comparatively to.
Get the STD test. That's the most important. That's like the main issue you should keep in mind. But once she's clean, at that point you're just jealous that like some other dude had abs or something. Like, come on, get over it.
And I mean, all I'm saying is, not to be TMI, but if she got it like that, where it's you're a minute man. I mean, hey, not every lady got. You don't want no hot dog hallway. You don't want to go scuba diving in the Great Mariana Trenches or whatever. You dig what I'm saying?
Maybe
so
she never enjoyed sex to begin with. Like, she always thought it should only last a minute. She didn't want none of those 10-minute fucking marathons. Can you imagine 10 whole minutes? Oh, how do those porn stars do it, Eggy? That's why they get paid the big bucks. They can last 10 whole minutes.
A lot of water and Cialis pills. That's why they all look like tomatoes. It is what it is.
Any other thoughts on this, Eggy? Are you going to continue reading this even without getting paid? Like, are you desperate to see how this story concludes?
I mean, yeah, I would like to listen. I'm going to come at it just, in my Chudley way. When this guy said, I'm going to repeatedly just die horrible deaths until I get my perfect virgin waifu, I think I stood up and gave a 30-minute, ovation of applause. But just like other medias that start off in that way, like The World God Only Knows I'm very fond of, there is real development here. It's not just a one note, like Chud escapist fantasy where, the world repeatedly gets changed and shifted until it's to your perfect specifications. We'll save that for my reality, no. But when we're making a story, it's good to have actual real development happening. And I definitely have seen it in this first volume. The sort of whiplash back and forth of the time traveling into different futures. It didn't feel like jilted to me at all, or like kind of jumbled up. It felt like there was still, even if it was kind of back and forth, there was definitely a narrative and a thread being built, and these events helping supplement my enjoyment of that arc that was transpiring, these little mini developments over the grander scheme here. And I would imagine probably if in volume 2, if we're kind of, I think we're going to start having maybe larger chunks. That would be my prediction, not just like oh wait, no, I'm going to die. Oh wait,
he's not going to die at the end of every chapter anymore.
Yeah, I think there's going to be larger things happening because I think he's getting a better understanding of his situation for one, and he's kind of feeling out some of the obvious pitfalls here in the first volume. And I think as he moves forward, he's going to be able to move with a little bit more nuance, a little bit more understanding. But I could be wrong. There's several volumes to bring the story together. But I think if it doesn't happen in volume 2, surely volume 3. But I kind of feel that energy getting there as we move at the end of this volume here.
In terms of Japanese time travel media, and I don't dislike Steins Gate, but everybody says, oh, Steins Gate, it's the go-to best time travel. Listen, folks, I've watched it twice. The time travel is like fucking 30 episodes in, and he's trying to save Makima, or whoever the fuck, from dying, and it only lasts like 1 or 2 episodes. Like, that should have been the entire show, was that. This is doing it right, but instead of trying to save a woman's life, he's trying to save her virginity. And if we get constant time travel from chapter 1, so this is the true time travel king as far as I'm concerned. Steins Gate is about a Redditor professor. This is about time travel, folks. That's my thing.
I could also see, a way that where this could work also is, with him saving her from being raped, saving her from being in this like room of a bunch of possibly disingenuous, unsavory men. Maybe that we're gonna have something where like his intent originally was, she needs to be my pure virgin waifu, but maybe he's gonna go and just repeatedly find her in these bad circumstances. And I know like at the end of this volume, it kind of implies that he kind of saved her from so much that he kind of like overwhelmed her and she didn't really want to be with him, but it was sort of like how it came to be with this divorce and the possible infidelity and everything like that. But maybe that could be something where he's kind of trying to stop certain things from happening for his own selfish reasons, but then he ends up kind of also stopping something actually objectively bad and terrifying or horrific from happening too. So,
and we don't actually know for a fact that his wife was ever a whore. It's just that he heard about her body count from, I think, the friend Akiho. So it very well could be every single sexual encounter she ever had until she met him was terrible and rape-like, and she didn't even want to be involved, and that's why she loves him so much, is that he did not force himself on her. That would be a good twist. Like, oh, my whore wife was never a whore at all. That's why she loves me so much.
And a good example of sometimes where you get in your own head and you're overthinking, which I think kind of runs the same channels as those kind of the nerves, the anxiety, the introversion, the insecurity, all these different things, to where there's not these actions being taken, but you get so caught up in your own mind of what could happen if this was wrong, what could happen if this was like this, and it almost stifles your ability to look outside, kind of like peek over the wall outside of the box. So that could all kind of tie together, I think, also too.
Is there an anime adaptation of this, Eggy?
I looked for it and I did not see it.
Not yet, then. They're working on it. As soon as they do, no, I think they did do Mysterious Girlfriend X. They must have done that one. Did they ever do No Bra? Did they? I remember reading a couple chapters of that one as a kid. Then I realized what it was about, and I said nope. Nope. Did they adapt Pretty Face, Eggy? That's what they need. They need to adapt Pretty Face, because the plot of that would not make any sense in animation, since it's a man who got cosmetic surgery to look like a girl, and they never address why the voice would sound different. So I'd love to see them try to explain that one on the show. Let's see, any other animes or mangas you want to recommend while we're here, Eggy? Maybe of the pirate variety.
Well, yes, of course. Obviously, if you want something that's just all the way through very adventurous and inspiring, and maybe it'll inspire you to not end up a fat man in your 30s with a dysfunctional relationship, romance, sex life. I would know nothing about that, obviously. Make sure you're checking out the One Piece Virgin podcast on the Monkey D. Jones channel. And that's what you need in your life. You don't want to be a Turu. And you know what, but maybe you can play a little Tuhu, but there's a few Tuhu guys that I've seen that play a lot of Tuhu that also look like Turu, so, proceed with caution, but at the same time, make sure you check out that podcast.
Could this character continue gaining weight and become Toru from Jackie Chan Adventures?
That's the guy who has like the top knot, right?
Yeah, he's the giant sumo guy who goes from villain to ally in season 2, I believe. I love Toru.
I think the build of our I Would Die for Your First Time Toru, I think that if he keeps on going through these arcs and these developments throughout the coming volumes, he's got the build to have a sumo arc or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny if he has to like fight a sumo wrestler to like save
protect her
his wife
virginity. The sumo wants to fuck Mika and he has to wrestle him.
He accidentally got sat on by a sumo wrestler and it just went inside. I don't know what just happened.
His gut popped her cherry somehow. That might be it for this one. Surprisingly, a decent read here. I thought it was, again, based on a lot of his internal dialogue. I thought this was going to be completely painful, so I'm glad that the character gains a little bit of self-awareness from time to time and makes some better choices.
I won't lie, just seeing how hideously he's depicted, I thought it was going to maybe be like there are some sexual panels in this. It's not a family-friendly material. No. But yeah, I thought maybe it would be like he's going to keep teleporting back and she's going to have like some real NTR stuff going on, and that would be like very uncomfortable. But at this point, none of that's really happened. It's just sort of it would also then kind of lend credence to your theory that maybe all of this was hearsay the entire time and she's been the perfect virgin wife. So, but it's hard to say. Who could really say for sure? The first volume, just going off of that, I'm going to give it a recommendation, and I do intend to read more of it, regardless one way or the other, if we don't have any further audio, podcasts, whatever reviews of it. I'm going to definitely tear through the rest in my own time. So,
and if you would like to choose something for me and Eggy to review, either on a podcast or on the couch, Simian Jimmy Business at gmail.com. Pitch us your idea, and we'll let you know if we're on board. We actually got one this morning, Eggy, which we talked about on Izakino, so I guess we'll be doing that soon.
It's good for me. And if you have if you have my contact in any sort of way, Instagram, whatever, and you have some more, mangas about the great redemption of obese 30-year-old dysfunctional men, listen, I love a good literally me, so you can just send that to me as a recommendation through one of my avenues that you can reach me at, and I would be happy to give it a bit of my time to read or watch.
For the I Want to Die for Your Virginity Virgin podcast, I have been Monkey D. Jones.
Joined as always by Turu, except, you know what? The man who got a little more hoo-hoo, so all I do now is game and sip that yoo-hoo. Woo!
Peace, people.